Hello and welcome everyone to episode 59 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittman. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
How's it going? I'm, of course, Brandon Bovia, letterer of manga on series like Dragon Ball Super, Kaiju number 8, and many, many more. I was trying to think. No, I haven't had anything like super new or exciting that I could talk about lately. So we'll just go with those.
Yeah, holding steady and all that. Kind of like our arc here. Right? We're back from the movies and back into the fights. And it's... I would classify this set of chapters as transitioning into, okay, taking the fight to Eneru.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like we've boiled like sort of the beginning of the end almost, it feels like. We've kind of boiled our contestants, as it were, down to like the core few. Mm-hmm. You know, we've cleared out all the riffraff, or are kind of in the process of clearing out the rest of them.
Yeah, pretty much in that case. And honestly, much of it is taken care of in this first chapter.
Yes.
271, Pirate Zoro versus Vassal Alm. We're back to this titling, and we got to catch Luffy up because he still doesn't know he got eaten by a snake. It's like, even he says, it's like, oh, it must have been rough to get eaten by a snake. It's like, you're the one that got eaten by him too. So
yeah, he thinks Nami and company have they got eaten. It's like, no, we are currently in the process of being eaten.
I love how Gonfor says, so you're the captain. These must be desperate times. Oh, the shade. We got them sort of reacting and figuring things out, and Nami's of course giving Luffy an earful, and Gonfor's like, man, Blue Sea women are barbaric.
I mean, I love that Luffy, of course, once he finds out that they've been eaten, he's like, oh, we'll just let's go through the exit hole.
Yeah, just get pooped out, whatever.
It's fine.
No worries there. And I also love the reaction. It's like, okay, the snake ate us because it was provoked, so let's get out of here before it happens again. And they all have the same realization at once.
Yes.
Were you kicking and screaming the whole time? It's like, oh yeah, I tried to break out of here. And he's like, it's all your fault. Smacks him. Which causes the snake to like curl up and go nuts even more so. Like, this poor snake.
He's just going through it.
Uh-huh. He's huffing and wheezing and sobbing. It's just tough. And all the while, like, Wiper is all about, okay, I got to get Isa out of there. So I'll just cut its belly open.
Yeah, there's a good few panels that is just like him trying to take on this gigantic thing, and it all looks incredible. Although I still feel like I don't understand the scale of the thing, where they're kind of like trapped in the kind of cage looking thing.
Yeah, like all of a sudden it seems way bigger, or portions of it are just gone. Like there's indications that it's there at some points, but other points it's like it might as well not be there.
I feel like it might as well not be there if there's enough room for a giant snake to kind of wiggle around in.
Yeah, I mean, it was there so Wiper couldn't stop Eneru from hurting Rocky.
Yeah, it was that sort of kind of... It had that dramatic effect.
Right.
And I guess it doesn't really matter in the long run, but it is one of those, like... I don't understand how it works with the giant snake in here, but I'm thinking about it too much, clearly.
Yeah. I mean, Wiper does at least some damage where he's able to singe the snake's tongue, but that's a bit about it. In the meantime, Zoro is still dealing with Alm and also trying to figure out how to get them out of there. But Alm's not really letting him alone, and the other Heavenly Warriors try to take him on too, and he just smacks him aside.
Yeah, just get out of the way.
Zoro is mainly concerned with how the heck Alm keeps knowing where he's at because of his mantra and, figuring it all out. He doesn't, I don't know if he has the context or not. I mean, I guess he's heard of the mantra, but he's still like mystified by it in some ways.
Yeah, I guess he wasn't there for the fight against the ball guy.
No, but I feel like they traded information at that.
Yeah. I get there would have been enough downtime for that to happen, but yeah, it's still, even if he knows about it, it's still you not much you can do against somebody who can read your mind.
No, not really. So he keeps attempting to get in there, but then we see kind of the coolness of Alm's sword. Like, it's not just a sword. It's since it's made of ironclad, it can be any shape. So he makes like an iron wall in front of Zoro that he smacks into.
like Looney Tunes style.
Then he has a fan and a fork and a flail. All these
Yeah, it's a very versatile sword.
crazy weapons that he just decides to use. You know, he's like, you can't win if you keep your distance. And Zoro's like, no, it's not true. So he whips out the 36-pound Phoenix. Nothing really goes there. Kind of just bounces off at that point.
Yep.
And things are looking kind of desperate for him. He's not doing so great. And the great thing is we have this countdown. It's like 3 people left, 2 animals. Like we are officially down to just Alm, Wiper, Zoro, and the 2 animals. It's like,
yeah,
it's an interesting fight. Like it's going back and forth, but I don't think this is one of Zoro's best. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
because it's down to just these 2.
It kind of just ends.
Yeah, like Zoro's
It doesn't really
dodging, and
he doesn't really have a grand like revelation or anything. He has the. He kind of counts up here at the end of the fight. He was like, oh, I could use that pound Phoenix with 3 swords.
yeah, he's like, all right, 1 sword is 36 pounds. We got second for 72 pounds. Gets the 30-sword style for the 108 pounds. And then he releases the 108-pound Phoenix, which is his long-distance attack, which catches Alma off guard because it deflects the Iron Cloud and basically just cuts through him, and that's it.
Yeah. He just kind of... Zoro found the win button is sort of how this fight feels.
I mean, it's cool and all, but it's... I don't know. It's weirdly unsatisfying.
Yeah, it feels like we kind of just had to take out Om. And maybe that is kind of the sort of major complaint with when we've talked about this before with the vassals, where it's just like, yeah, they're all kind of, they're fine. But I'm definitely going like, oh yeah, this is why I didn't remember Om, because, the fight, like he's taken out pretty unceremoniously.
Yeah, like he has good stuff in there with the weirdness of the dog and the free-for-all portion of the fight. But once it becomes one-on-one, he just loses all interesting traits about him.
Yeah, I guess there's not really much of a build-up to it anyway. Like, or even Zoro being kind of on the back foot, is always fun to watch. But yeah, it just sort of... After that, it just ends.
yeah, pretty much. Shame, but the way it goes. Although, before we end this off, we do have an SBS. Nothing too crazy in this, but my God, I laughed. There was a person who questioned, like, if Zoro and Sanji went head-to-head in all seriousness, who would be strongest? So since Zoro defeated Mr. One, does that mean Zoro's stronger than Sanji? And Oda doesn't answer the question at all. Instead, he's like, when he says man to man, he thought he was comparing their manliness. It's like, hey, watch how you phrase your sentences. Anyway, let's move on.
He completely dodged the question. Which take that, power scalers.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want you here.
Nope. Go away. Oh goodness. That's really it for the chapter. So let's get to 272, play. And hey, it's finally time to begin our 6th chapter title page series. And gee, I wonder who this could be when it's Catch the Thief That Didn't Pay the Tab. Who do we know that doesn't pay their tabs?
Yep. We'll find out next chapter.
Yeah, we will find out very soon. Either way, we are actually back with Robin. And she's sort of figuring things out, where she sees this slab that have words that are written that are in the same script as the poneglyph. And she's like, okay, the only people who knew how to use those symbols were the ones who created the poneglyph. And she actually reads it out. Hold the truth in your heart. Keep your mouth silent. We are the ones who weave history with the reverberations of the great bell. And she's like, okay, so we're figuring this out. But the history's been erased. The town's books are all burned. So the poneglyph was brought to the city, and the city fought against the enemy. And it was ruined in the service of protecting the poneglyph. So where's this bell? What's going on? It's like we got this whole mystery that she's trying to solve.
What were they trying to protect, and who was interested in burning the history?
Yeah.
I
forget a lot of these threads. But we'll see how it all... I mean, you know how it all comes together, it sounds like.
Well, I have a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I think with more context, that you kind of go like, okay, there are ways that this could go. I definitely don't have all of the answers here.
Oh, okay.
But I could it definitely has me in the mood to watch some theory videos.
Understandably. But along with all this, she discovers some cart tracks that indicates that something was moved from this underground city recently. And that's when Eneru shows up. It's kind of terrifying, honestly.
Yeah, maybe it has something to do with the thing that was moving from here. With the railroad tracks.
Seems kind of likely. He kind of talks to her a bit. She's like, the legendary capital can't even be admired if it's covered in clouds. I discovered it. My idiotic predecessors didn't even notice it. It just kind of shows how much more knowledge he has on a lot of the people that he knows all this stuff.
Yeah, that's sort of the scary part, right? Like, Eneru's smart.
Yeah, he's far from dumb, and he's just supremely confident. I think that what makes him so good of an adversary at this point. Hard to judge him on the scale of being a villain right now, because he's done obviously terrible things, but I'm not sure if it's as grand as Crocodile at this point. So we'll keep going. Of course, there's more to be revealed as we see. So he's basically just impressed. He's like, man, it took us months to find these ruins, so it must be easier if you can actually read everything. But the gold's gone. So yeah, all the gold in Shindora is actually gone. And he's basically like, oh yeah, the glittering gold suits me. It's all mine. And she asked about the bell, and he's like, what bell?
I kind of like this because it looks almost like he kind of he says that he's like, oh yeah, the bell is here, and I think he's lying.
I don't know. Because Robin immediately tries to backtrack and say, oh, they must not have made it back here. I wanted to see the towers. And he's like, oh, wait, no, it's here. It came up to the sky. Because he recalls, like, the elders call it the island's singing voice. So there had to be a bell made of solid gold. And he's like, sweet. More gold that suits me just fine.
I kind of want to come back to this conversation once we're done with the arc. Just because this is I think will be more interesting with the full context, and I'm definitely not working with all the cards here.
Yeah, I can't remember what happened with the bell. I know we find out, but I don't remember specifics.
Same.
Basically, Robin just thinks to herself, okay, so the golden bell was in the sky, so the poneglyph might be here too. And meanwhile, Eneru's like, only 8 minutes left, so I might as well search the entire country and figure things out. And it's like, oh, there's a maggot on the edge of the island. And sure enough, we go to the edge.
that had me, like, that transition, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, these two are in trouble. It's not good. Because sure enough, Conus and Pagaia are here, and they see one of the Kami's warriors crawling to the edge, where he kind of lets them all know, it's like, we were trapped for 6 years in his prison, and we got to treat him. And he's like, no. It's like, you have to warn Angel Island because Eneru is planning to destroy everything. He's going to crash Skypeia into the blue sea.
And just the stakes have just skyrocketed, or I guess,
plummeted.
Plummeted. Skypeia is going to plummet, but the stakes have increased significantly.
Yeah, it's like, it just seemed like, we got to stop the Kami. It's like he's being a jerk.
Yeah,
he want to get this goal, and all of a sudden it's like, no, he's planning to kill everybody.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, he doesn't need it because he has his own arc, the Arc Maxim. It's then the Pagaia notice a little bit of a crackling as they're talking, and he pushes Conus out of the way as a giant thunderbolt just strikes that guy and Pagaia at the same time. And that's it.
Oof. Yeah, that's it. I have no idea it's One Piece, so he's probably okay. But it's still like, oh, wow. Just
taking
again,
no chances.
Eneru is just so omnipotent that like he can just stop anybody from, letting the truth get out.
Yeah.
That is just terrifying.
Very worrisome, but we go back to Zoro, who succeeded in taking down Ulm, but there's still the problem of his dog, and he's like, "Oh God, wait!" And then it actually waits. Turns out it was trained so well it obeys everyone. So Zoro tells him to bang your head and pass out, and he does. That is amazing. That is a great payoff for this weird dog.
Yeah, I still feel like he just Oda didn't know what to do with either of these guys, and so we were just like, okay, we're done.
Yeah, but at least we get a good
Moving
gag
on.
out of this one.
Yeah, it was good. It made me laugh.
All of a sudden, as the Snake, Zoro, and Wiper are go at it, we get the Sango smash from Eneru.
And God, like the light coming up from below and just like the heavy shading, it just looks incredible.
Oh man! And then just see the lightning encompass the entirety of the giant jack, reach that cloud and whatnot, and just that smile, like he just creates a massive hole in the clouds that sends everything above crumbling down. And yeah, it's not great. He's like, all right, let's bring your friends down to Shandora. So they all fall. And Zoro is able to grab Chopper's unconscious body, keep him safe. And they're all tumbling down in. And man, it just seems like pure chaos where Neru has control of everything. Where Konos leaves Sue the fox to watch over Sanji and Usopp. And she's holding back her tears as she goes to the island to warn everybody. And Neru just announces, let's get to the finale.
Yeah. Hey, I'm accurate.
Yeah, quite accurate. It's now we're in the process of seeing what Neru's capable of, like really capable of.
It feels like he is himself forcing, like, all right, like, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. we are ready to get to it. So, yeah. Chapter 273, Quintet. And sure enough, our new story, Ace's Great Search for Blackbeard. Sorry about the dine and dash.
What do you want to bet that he probably fell asleep during the meal, too?
Oh, of course he did.
Mid-conversation.
Of course he
woke
did.
up, just left.
This will be fun. It's been a while since we've had a focus on a hero. Not since
that's true.
Cody and Helmeppo.
Yeah, really, it's not Wapol, so I'm happy.
And we're trying to find Blackbeard. We'll see if he actually finds him or not.
It's cool because this is an actual like piece of information, right? That like we know has happened, and so this is quite literally just like Oda filling in the gaps between. So this, I assume, would all at least somewhat be, I don't know, before Luffy and Ace actually met in Alabasta.
It could be, or it could be after. He's still in the search. He's still trying to find him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I think it takes place after. He's still just on the search.
Yeah. No, you're right. I'm being dumb.
Nah, that's all right.
But either way, it'll be interesting to see what everybody's favorite Fireboy's up to.
Absolutely. But yeah, we begin the chapter with everybody falling down to Shandora, and as the snake falls, it's screaming out, which causes all the food in it to just sort of shift up, and Nami jumps on the waver, gets everybody to grab on, and
it's quick thinking on her part.
Right. And they're all ready to take off because, Gonfor is on Pierre, ready to go. Luffy grabs on to the exhaust pipe. So when Nami takes off, him and Isa get left behind in the clouds. Yeah. And Gonfor jumps out and sends Pierre to go rescue him. And they're like, "Oh God, there's no floor. We're still dropping." So yeah, Gonfor stays on his own. Sends Pierre to rescue Luffy and Isa, and everybody just falls into Shandora.
Man, just such a cool dramatic set piece.
Just what a way to bring everybody together.
Yeah, seriously. After God, it's been a while. They when you think about it, like everybody's kind of been separated for a good chunk of the story here. Yeah,
I can't remember what chapter they all went off to actually get this gold, but yeah, they're finally everybody's conscious is together.
Yes, everyone who's conscious.
And Zoro immediately meets up with Robin, who comments like, "Man, you would have died if you were normal, but he's just fine." Meanwhile, the snake ended up with his head below the clouds. He gets back up, and he's still all upset. And Luffy is still stuck in the snake.
Yep.
And as you were saying before this, we're done with Luffy and the snake.
Yeah, I feel like this idea has kind of run its course.
It's unfortunate. They this is a kind of clever way to keep Luffy out of the action for now, but now he's like it's into the twiddling your thumbs moment of this. Like,
yeah, because you know he's going to get out, one way or the other, and it's probably going to be when all the other characters need him the most or are down.
Yeah, it's time for that at the most dramatic point.
Yeah, it feels like we're just waiting for it.
Yeah. Everybody's trying to get their bearings, and Wiper is in shock because he's like, "Oh my God, we actually found our homeland."
Right, yeah. What a way to find out.
It seems like even the snake is really happy about this. It's like singing and dancing that it's in here.
Which is and even Nami takes note that it's like crying, like it's happy to be home, which is even more tragic because Eneru is just kind of like die.
Yeah, it's everybody's been having trouble with this snake this entire time.
Yeah. Oh,
and Neru's just like, yeah. We're gonna fry you. He uses El Thor.
I think is kind of the major theme of this chunk of chapters. It's just like characters kind of remarking like, we worked really hard on that, and he just downed it in one blow. Or just like we can't even touch him.
They're all worried about the ones that were trapped inside. Isa, Nami, Luffy. Well, they don't know Luffy's in there, but Isa and Nami, and Zoro is like and. All of a sudden they've like spot her. It's like, oh, you escaped?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, inside that is Luffy. It's like, what's he doing in there? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, why is he like this?
And yeah, as you were saying, Wiper's like, crap, I couldn't do anything to that thing. And the Wiper took it out in just one go. So, but it's Wiper's turn to try to take him on. Wiper just decides like, no, we're going to have a ball cloud and I'm going to hang up here and talk to you guys.
Yeah. He's just chilling.
Yeah. The game isn't over yet. So, you and those behind you are the players. And we get this wonderful shot of all of them lined up in front of it. Like Nami's hiding behind a wall holding on to Chopper's body, but all the others are standing front and center in front of Eneru. And, so he just says, yeah, all this fighting has just been an amusement, a silly little game. Starting from when you set foot on the island to 3 hours later, I wanted to see how many of the 81 people would remain. And, some joined halfway. They were welcome to, but I predicted there would be 5 survivors. And Nami's like, oh, thank God there are exactly 5. So we're good. And meanwhile, Eneru says, yeah, there's 6 people. We can't have 6 people left. And Nami's like, crap,
Forgot about that mantra.
And I love this ending. It's like, all right, who shall disappear? Fight amongst yourselves and I'll obliterate that person. And everybody's like, no, I refuse on this one. And Nami's thinking they're going to point to her. And because they're even kind of looking towards her. And they all turn back to Neru's like, no, you disappear.
That's a great ending shot. And just Eneru is a bad choice, he says.
It's nice to see them actually all together, ready to fight this guy.
I love that panel so much.
I know. He's just like, oh, you fools. Like he is truly showing himself to be a threat in this set. Like there is no doubt he's more powerful than Crocodile.
Yeah. Ooh, how will they overcome him?
Yeah. All right. Chapter 274, Oratorio. We're in a race for our panel or colored panel. Sure. It's neat, I guess. Although I love that Luffy has a turtle on his bike. That's cute. But I'm also a fan of turtles.
Yes.
We begin with a flashback to Gonfor by basically doing the whole, are we the baddies?
Yeah. Are we the monsters?
And they're like, no, don't worry. Like his people are just like, no, don't worry about such things. The warriors might hear you. And and Gonfor's like, they just want their homeland back, but our prosperous life on Skypeia is only possible because our ancestors took the upper yard. And, we've negotiated and just like, what do we do?
It's kind of a complicated question.
There is really no easy answer for this.
Yeah.
Until this intruder shows up calling himself Kami Eneru.
And that's where the flashback ends, and it's it's all over from there.
Yeah, it's like, we still don't really know much about Eneru's past.
Yeah.
I actually don't remember if it actually even gets elaborated on, to be honest.
Yeah, but I'm really not sure either.
Yeah.
He just seems to come out of nowhere.
We then go to some Sky Island kids, one of which is very obviously the son of that guy that got fried by Eneru, warning of the his plans.
Yeah, my father's at the commies forces.
Yes.
Mom says he'll be back soon. I've never met him.
It's like, oh, that's tragic. He's like, oh, your father was a great man as you turned to serve the commie. He's like, yeah. And all the while we go transition over to Cronus. Like, the country is doomed. I got to get deliver his message and warn everybody. So we got to go.
Yeah, that's I feel like, I mean, of course, we have definitely raised the stakes with Skypeia now being in danger. And I guess we have these little kids here kind of being like, okay, we're seeing more of the normal society and so that we can be worried about it, it can build tension and have us invested, because we don't, as the reader, we don't want it to fall, obviously.
Yeah.
But I do get a feel, like the slight feeling that because we've spent the vast majority of the story arc in the upper yard, it does feel a little we don't have that strong of a connection to this place.
No, our only connection
certainly
is
not
Cronus.
Relative to like Alabasta, I think.
Yeah, because we were with Vivi for so long and seeing the trials that her people were going for and all the mishaps along the way, that you got so invested with that. And I don't think that investment is quite there, but the battle with Eneru is compelling enough on its own, I think. Like,
I agree.
Stakes there that make it more than just taking out this guy. But
yep,
there was that. Basically, Neru's like, none of you understand the true meaning of the kami, and he goes over all of them. It's like what all of you are all about, and he's just like, what my lambs desire mean nothing to me. There's something fundamentally wrong with the country, and they're just like, shut up.
Yeah.
Gonfor demands to know where the kami's forces are, and he's like, what are your intentions? And we get to see kind of his goal here. He wants a happy return that he wants to go to. On the island where he was born, people believe the kami resides there. They call it Endless Vars. The land there stretches out farther than the eye can see. So he might be from the sky. I don't know. But it's a paradise that he seeks, that a land that he is worthy of him. And he wants, why fight over something as small as Upper Yard when he could have, something endless.
He wants all of it.
And then he goes on to say, like, hey, you're people living in the sky. You're meant for the ground. This is unnatural. So we need to return it all. So I'm going to crash it. I'll drag all the humans down from the sky.
Yeah.
And that's how everybody else learns what he actually intends to do. It definitely upsets Gonfor.
Yeah, it definitely has turned the conflict a little more existential.
Yeah, definitely more personal for Gonfor, which was getting really personal. And I like this line where it's like, kami is just a title for the governor of the country. And he's like, oh, that was true until now.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm actually God.
Yeah, it's like, this is a world of humans. There's no such a thing as kami. He's like, and as you said, I'm God. And your 650 followers finally finished the task. I signed them. As I told you earlier, the only ones left on this island are these 6 people. Like, he wiped out all 650 people after they finished.
Everybody, which is kind of like wow.
He's like, I didn't kill them because I wanted to. They just rebelled, so I did it.
Yeah. So again, we don't. I feel like as a reader at this point, you still don't have a strong indication for what Eneru is actually trying to do, right? Like,
no.
Whatever he's
nebulous.
trying to. Yeah, whatever he's trying to do involves tanking Skypeia. I don't know if that's the reason why they rebelled against him, or if there's more to it than that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like, I think it's just his kind of sadism or just superiority complex is like, well, these people are beneath me and I feel they're unnatural, so let's get rid of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
It could be one or the other.
If my boss walked up to me and it was like, hey, we're going to go for this Endless Vars thing that's just as much of a legend, she's like, what are you talking about, bro? Yeah.
Okay, sure. And Gonfor goes for the attack. Eneru easily dodges to the side. Says 20 million, and we get these quick little flashbacks of when Eneru took over and got rid of Gonfor. unleashes 20 million volts straight into Gonfor's head.
Yep.
And that's it for Gonfor.
He's down.
Man, some of these words from Eneru are unreal. Like, there is a kami in this world. It is I.
Yeah.
Like,
he's so solid. Cold.
Yeah. It is solid. Like, that is like, there is like some true threatening bits in there. He believes his own hype.
Villain. Yeah, he really does. He really does.
Like, he is. I don't think we've seen a villain like this confident in themselves.
Yeah, it's definitely even a step above Crocodile.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, okay, it's the devil fruit, probably the rumble fruit. And Robin helpfully tells us it's one of the many powers of devil fruit. It's one of the few that are considered invincible, the power of lightning.
Which I feel like in other shonen manga, that just might be something that somebody says like to hype him up. To really like, oh no, this guy, he's invincible. And then, I don't know, you read like 400 chapters later, he's like a joke. But like, no, honestly, still up there.
Yeah, I have to imagine Eneru is probably still one of the most powerful villains.
Yes. I feel like the One Piece power curve
is a wave. It is like it just ebbs and flows.
Yeah. I feel like in a lot of other shonen manga, it's just to pick your poison, really, of any sort of like villain from 274 chapters in, where it's like, okay, well, obviously you don't compare. If anybody said that villain was like, oh yeah, they're invincible, you would have to escalate so that the later villains have to somehow be even more threatening. But I feel like even as somebody caught up to the manga, Eneru is still like really powerful.
Yeah, I think. Well, we'll get into how this all goes down. That they're able to. They have to stand up to this because, as we see, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be quite the fight to actually take him down. But
he's one shot basically everybody.
Pretty much, and he's like, okay, now we're 5. I'm glad you survived, and so it's time for me to depart for the Endless Verse. And hey, because of you guys being the final 5, you get to come with me. And that way,
wow. Which is funny that he just basically killed people. It was like, oh yeah, you guys are still here. You can come with me.
Yeah, I mean, you're the few chosen because you actually survived. So let's go. And then I want my Godland.
Yeah, I do like that. Robin is like, well, what if we refuse? And then Eneru's like, why would you do that? Like, you will die.
Yeah, we will absolutely die here. And she tries to pull a bluff on him. It's like, it's true. Your powers could destroy this country, but wouldn't you also be destroying the things you want, like the Golden Bell? It's like, oh no, I already have an idea where it is. When I think back to your actions, I can see of only one possible place. And she's like, what? So, and then they're like, we're probably thinking of the same place. So I get the sense that he actually does know where it is.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Just by those words, he doesn't seem the type to bluff. He just knows.
I don't know where it is, so I'm intensely curious again, like what the bit about the bell was about.
Mm-hmm. And then he just says, "You're shallow" to her before.
Yeah. Wow. Just
zapping her. That's it.
Dang.
Robin taken out next.
We lost Robin. We lost Gonfor.
Yeah. That's brutal.
Yeah.
That is brutal. Well, time for our final chapter of the set 275, Divina Commedia, or Divine Comedy.
Yep.
Which I see what you're doing there.
Yep.
But yeah, we're gathering information now with Ace. I love how he actually has like making a motion of a beard with his hand.
Oh yeah.
Well, the guy that he dine and dash is right behind. He's still behind him chasing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is not
last
happy.
Chapter 2.
So far, nothing amazing for this, but we'll see how it goes. We're still very early in.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, we begin with Robin going down, and significantly Zoro being the one to catch her before she falls.
Yep.
Because he was always super suspicious of her.
Yeah.
Very
I didn't
wary.
think about that. Yeah.
So I think this is the moment he sort of fully accepts her as part of the crew.
Yeah, as part of the crew. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. He just says, he immediately says she's a woman, which I have a slight issue with Zoro saying that, specifically because of Quina.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
because
true.
That's her whole thing is like, because I'm a woman, I'm viewed as weaker. And he's like, this woman who's very powerful got taken out. How dare you attack her like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. That strikes me as a bit odd. Like, obviously it's not good to hit women and all that, but it's also one of those things where it feels patronizing in a way. Probably definitely not intentional, but it comes across just a little bit that way.
I can see that for sure. I feel like it's more just to kind of play up the drama, but
it absolutely is.
Yeah, but yeah, I could definitely it's not great.
But again, Eneru with those cold lines. I know, I saw.
Yeah,
he doesn't care.
Doesn't care. It is interesting, like Zoro, of course, going right in for the kill. Like I think. Zoro might be the first person that Eneru has complimented.
He might be, because he rather than just let him get cut, he actually blocks it with his staff.
Yeah, and so he kind of sees a little more entertainment value out of Zoro, maybe.
Mm-hmm. And then Wiper taking the advantage to try to use the burn bazooka on him. Nope, has a defensive lightning shield that just completely stops the bazooka flame.
And I like that, the thunder crack, the sound effect is kind of over the burn bazooka sound effect.
Oh, that's a good effect. I didn't even notice that. That's really good.
Yeah, it's sort of like the noise is kind of overpowering it. Yeah, it's cool.
And then Nami giving us our scale. It's like, I heard thunder. The air must have expanded at the speed of light. It was that hot.
Yep.
He is lightning itself. And that's, or weather girl saying that. That's not good.
Yeah. No.
And he's like, he still wants them to come with him, but Zoro's just like, yeah, we're not coming with you. So he goes for it, and Neru's just like, well, time to teach your body a lesson about the Kami's rules, and he allows himself to be sliced, but then immediately grabs hold of the swords and unleashes lightnings through the swords and electrocutes Zoro.
And now Zoro's, he's still conscious, but he's down, basically.
Yeah. Although Oda kind of speaking to his own views on the dreams and whatnot, and because Eneru does say having all your hopes shattered is not unlike death.
Yeah. That feels. I kind of glossed over that line, but that's very, very thematically appropriate.
Man, the way he's just grandstanding this entire time. He's just saying death is the ultimate fear of humans, and that is why why people bow their heads to the ground and beg for the Kami's mercy as he forces Zoro's head to the ground. It's like, creatures are made to bow down in the face of terror. That's instinct.
I'm wondering almost if I should save this or not. I think it'll be okay to say. Eneru's line about for humans death is the ultimate fear. I don't have quite enough to I feel like this might be kind of hinting towards something in the way that like we've seen Luffy, who is does not fear death, in the way that he was almost executed at Roguetown, and just he was smiling in his final moments. And I think that is very key to the themes of the story.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely looking at that line.
I didn't even think about that. That's good.
Yeah. I feel like I don't have enough evidence to be like, there's this is clearly something here, but I feel like there's something here, because it's
Luffy
not just
often is
Luffy.
ideologically opposed to most of the villains, and that would. And there was not a pirate or anything like that. He's hurting his friends, obviously, but to have that little extra thing with that ideology, I think is.
I think that's where we're getting at.
I would buy that. I would absolutely buy that.
Yeah.
Also interesting that Zoro noticed that I wonder if he's saying he's strong because of the weight on his head, or just strong because of the lightning. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But Wiper takes the opportunity to throw down his bazooka, wraps his legs around Eneru, and Neru's just like, what are you doing? And that's when Wiper reveals, like, hey, do you know what sea prism is? And he's hey,
remember that?
Yeah. And he's like, hey, my shooter has one in it because that sucks the power of those with devil fruit powers. It's like, oh hell, Wiper had a plan.
Yeah, he really did. I forgot that he was packing heat.
I did too. I thought he was going to waste it because he was lightning. I was like, oh man, Wiper with again, foresight. Good on him.
Yeah, he is definitely kind of almost more formidable than the Straw Hats here.
At this point, because he can actually negate Eneru's powers, and he's able to get in close because Eneru, doesn't think anything will happen to him.
Yeah.
Zoro takes the opportunity to get away. Wiper is ready to go for it and use the reject dial. And he's like, hey, you're just going to kill yourself too. He's like, nope, I'm happy to die if I can take you with me. And Eneru tries to get him to stop finally, and he just uses the reject straight into his chest.
It's a great panel too.
Oh man.
Especially knowing what that's doing to Wiper's body.
Oh, it's wiping him out. And we get these flashes to the other members of the crew. They're all passed out, and we get a flashback for himself where they're talking about the poneglyph and learning from the old chieftain, apparently. 800 years ago, the warriors of Shandora and those who sought to claim the stone fought in battle. They won, but the survivors were few and the sacrifices many. The survivors of that battle became the silent protectors of the great poneglyph and the city's ruins. Then 400 years later, that's when the island got blown up to Skypeia and then got claimed. So they're trying to, that's another reason they're trying to get back the upper yard to get that poneglyph back.
Yep, because they're charged, it is their duty to protect it.
That's fascinating to have that little extra reasoning there. Mm-hmm. It bears, again, according to this chief, it bears the great history of the land, of a land in the shadow of darkness. So we must not let the light of Shandor be extinguished. So that's why they fight so hard.
I got some feelings about that.
Oh, really? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
But either way, Eneru's down. Like he is eyes white, blood coming out of his mouth, smoke coming off his chest. Wiper's not looking so great either, but he's still on his feet.
Yeah, he's still standing.
Nami goes in to check in on Robin and Gonfor, and then all of a sudden, a crack of lightning strikes Neru's body. Basically, he gives himself, what is it?
CPR?
Well, CPR, but also like the clear.
Oh, yeah.
Defibrillation. Defibrillation. Yeah. Massages his own heart, and somehow, while seemingly unconscious or at least extremely damaged or near death, gets himself back on his feet and jumpstarts his own heart.
Which to me says that, like, had he not, Wiper killed him. Basically, I call that W for him. Like,
yeah.
If it weren't for like that kind of like dumb shonen villain nonsense, he would have won.
I mean, yes, but it's also like, holy shit, this guy.
Yeah, no, seriously, like he just won't go down.
No, like even like that one big plan, that one best chance, and it failed. And not for lack of trying. It's not like I had this big plan and it didn't work at all. No, it worked. He was just able to bounce back from it because of his power set, and that's whew. And to end off on that line of people do not fear the kami, fear is the kami.
That's, God, I don't know, what is it about Eneru's lines? Like every all of his one-liners are so good.
Right?
Yeah, they're just, he is terrifying.
I feel like these chapters are slightly uneven. Like there are things that that kind of feel like it is just sort of like we need to get these pieces in this place, and it's done a little bit haphazardly.
Yeah,
in certain places.
I can
badly. It's still entertaining, but it just feels like, okay, we need to get to the finale here, and we're getting some interesting stuff. But it seems like most of this was just like, we need to show that Eneru is a hell of a villain.
I'm a little underwhelmed at just like, even of the folks who got, like, God, like Gonfor and Robin getting down in the same chapter before they really get to do anything kind of sucks, and Zoro not really lasting that much longer, presumably. So it's just kind of like, I get it, like we do kind of have to wrap things up, and I wouldn't have wanted it to kind of drag on, and I guess there's not really anything they can do against Eneru anyway.
It's like what can I mean, Gonfor has no powers. He can't.
Yeah.
He'll be as effective as anybody else to try to attack Eneru. Same for Zoro. Yeah. He has no way to really attack him. And Robin, still nothing.
Yeah. So I guess it's just like we're getting to where we need to go, which is good. But
I mean, it really does feel like nobody has a chance against him. There's nothing they can do because they can't touch him, and he's light.
Yeah, exactly.
And he has this omnipotence to him. So it's just like it does play up that hopelessness of the fight. It's just, for whatever reason, slightly unsatisfying getting there. It's my one little gripe here. I couldn't quite place it, but it does have that feeling.
I want to just real quick, thinking back to Alabasta, because Crocodile was the same kind of deal where it was an enemy that you couldn't hit, but maybe because Luffy figured out how to hit him during their second fight, right?
During their first fight, he realized from their first fight, at the end of their first fight, that
right.
he was able to grab him. And
yes,
then the second fight, he was able to do it. But it took 3 fights for Luffy to take him down, which I think helped Crocodile be that much of a threat, because he's taking down Luffy, somebody we had not seen struggle at all up to this point.
Yeah. And so now we're seeing all of these different characters all kind of line up against Eneru. They're all going to get it downed one by one.
Mm-hmm. And we have no idea how Luffy will do in this situation.
Yeah, so it's just like, what are we, it feels different, even though they are both villains who cannot be touched for a large part of the arc. The way they're presented is different, and I think it is a little underwhelming to see the other characters who are just kind of like, well, you can't do anything against them, so die.
Yeah, we took out everybody else that they could take out, so now it's time to get rid of them.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
yeah, I mean, still greatly enjoying it. I want to let that be known right off the bat.
This is a really minor complaint.
Yeah, exactly. But with that, I believe we've said all we wanted to say about chapters 271 to 275 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube, or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. I think I might have mentioned, either way, I've got some books coming out that I've been promoting and kind of doing some little dives into in terms of like the technical process and all that. And as of this recording, it's the beginning of March here, so I've now hit 6 years in the manga industry.
Oh wow,
feeling pretty good.
That's awesome. You've been with it as long as the Switch.
Yeah, it pretty much. Yeah, my first manga was like pretty much when the Switch came out.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
How did you concentrate?
I didn't have one because I was broke because I didn't get paid yet.
That'll do it. Well, if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 276 to 280 of One Piece. Until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
The one thing I know is that God's prophecy will never falter, because he is absolute. I'm curious to see how this person is going to die. Will you all fight each other? Will you gang up on one of the weaker ones? Of course, you could all resist your fates and force me to pick.
What do you want to do, Robin?
I'm not going to kill anyone.
I won't either.
I won't compete in your sick game. And I, too, refuse to take part.
Why do you gotta drag me into this?
You're the only one dying today.
Insolent fools.